Yeah, that was actually, I enjoyed it. Actually walked away just learning so much about food contamination, cross contamination, foodborne illnesses, like the things that I typically overlook. And so, learned a lot. And so from there, I want to say fast forward, we in 2023 we became more full time. So then we started to do pitch competitions. We participated in accelerator programs and started to really introduce the world to home cook. And so fast forward a little bit, fast because it does take time. I'm actually explaining something over the course of like 4 years. Fast forward, we was a part of a accelerator program that's backed by John Hopkins, and so being in that program, they pretty much forced us to focus on one clientele because obviously we have the food entrepreneurs and then we have the kitchen owners. And so we were like, you know what, let's kind of hone in a little bit more on the kitchen owners' problems. And so we were like, okay, well, we're going to build technology that helps to transform commercial grade kitchens into local havens, right? There's a lot of food entrepreneurs in the communities, but and there's also a lot of underutilized kitchen space. So we were like, okay, cool. Our software would transform any space into a local haven. And so fast forward a little bit more, we started to like figure out, okay, well, before we like fully launch, how could we engage the food entrepreneurs, right? Because we're a small team and we don't want to put all of our eggs in just one basket. But, okay, we're going to focus on building a pilot program, kitchen owners. And a pilot program is essentially an opportunity for kitchen owners to test the technology, provide feedback so we can fine tune, iterate, and successfully launch, right? And so as founders, we had to go back to the drawing board and we had to think of other ways that we can add value to food entrepreneurs, right? And then we also recognize that connecting them with kitchen spaces is not fully sustainable. So again, over the course of the years, we just kind of put our like thinking caps on and we were like, okay, so what are the categories in which food entrepreneurs need resources, right? Because they can get to a kitchen, but they may need funding, as Hassan mentioned. They may need access to culinary training or eating and serve safe certificate. And so again, we just collectively put together and identify 6 categories that essentially focus on like the main areas that food entrepreneurs that we've been working with over the course of the year, who, express these concerns. And so we figure, okay, well, let's just put something together, leveraging the technology that we've already built. Before we push out this kitchen pilot program, we created the Home Cooks Resource Pantry, which is actually, the name actually came from one of our marketing interns over the summer because we were like, we called it a resource tool. She was like, yes, we're just going to put these, you guys will see the 6 categories so we can go more into detail. But yeah, we were like, oh, wait, this is a resource tool, for food entrepreneurs. And she was like, how about resource pantry? I'm like, I like that. That's a nice name. So essentially, it's the Home Cooks Resource Pantry. So as you can see up here, the view resource pantry button. Yeah, so I don't know. Did you want to?
Yeah, okay. I can speak a little bit
Okay.
more into first, let me just add to what you said. I think a huge, like Tayana said, we went through multiple pivots to try to find product market fit, but that's very, very key, right? And again, that takes market research, understanding, learning more about the customer, understand their problem, the job to be done, and all of that. And just some of the programs we went through and even getting the funding allowed us to be able to build the right team. So, we were able to also have like a product team that also took a while just trying to get all that together. But right now, we do have a solid, product team that we're able to like, push things as fast as within like 1 month or 2 sprints. But all that process, just all the learning experience that kind of really helped us a lot. But the core still remains the same, right? The core is that we want to support food entrepreneurs, want to help them want to help them get all the resources to grow their businesses, want to be that go-to place for them, where they can come and everything they need to be right there and it's easily accessible and improving the experience for them. And that's something that again we have, the first version of the product, like Jenna said, was a, platform that just allowed for the girls to be able to interact with their clientele, but then realize that we can't just put, food businesses out there without knowing what food safety requirement they've met. So that's, us going to commercial kitchen spaces. If we know the kitchen that they work out of, we can at least, certify to an extent that we know the quality of the food and we know the certification that they had and documents they needed to be able to cook the food. So that kind of, led us into the spot where, like Jenna said, 6 main categories that we are focused on right now, and I'm gonna click on here. Uh, the kitchen spaces for them to cook their food and meet, different like local requirements and regulation. Then the next is documentation that they need. A lot of times for you to get a kitchen space, you need to have signed document. So it's not just about because this was also something we discovered by talking to kitchen owners, right? Some of them had to turn away over like 600 people just because they didn't have all the documentation and they didn't have the resources to be able to support them in that way. They had to run their businesses. So we realized that okay, it's not just about getting the kitchen space, but what I think they need to get a kitchen space, and if we can help them hold their hands to get a document, and if they don't know where to get a document, we can help them know where to get a training. So that is the different categories we have. So the first the kitchen spaces and the document that they need for spaces, the training that they need, access to funding, then the different experts and also getting access to fresh food so that way they can bring down the cost when it comes to inventory. They can bring down the supply chain. Sometimes it's very hard for them to plan and predict what the cost will be. So if we can help them out in that way, that will also help them plan their businesses better and help them just be set up to succeed. That's pretty much how where we are right now. So again, a huge part of what we had to do was the customer discovery, and thankfully some of the funding we got also helped us to actually get as far as we did, and also build the team we did. That's where we are. Like I think Tayana mentioned that we have a pilot program. So the pilot program is designed for also work with the different exact resource partners. So the way we see it is that this is a marketplace. At the end of the day, it is a marketplace, right? Connecting two sides, the food entrepreneurs who need the resources and the different resource providers. And this allows it, it makes it possible for us that if you have a training company, a culinary training program, you can easily be listed on here, and then you can get access to people who want those training. The same thing, if you have a kitchen space, you can be listed. If you're a church, or if you're a school, you have a kitchen space that you can list it on here as well. So this just again, initially it was just kitchen spaces, but now we realize that it's more than just kitchen spaces, all the different things, resources they need to be able to at least get their food and the supply chain and getting it out there to their customers. So that's kind of how we got here, and we're just trying to connect those two sides. And the partner program is supposed to help us learn more about how effective it is for the partners. And then we also have like a food course group we're conducting with food entrepreneurs, and we have a few scheduled, all through Q4. That's really just to help them to help get better feedback, and we have some analytics tools built out already. You can log in and work some features. I think. So we have some features built that allows us to learn more about okay, is this useful for the different food entrepreneurs when they come on here, what are they looking for, and stuff like that. And for also help us learn better because it's not about one and done, right? I'm sure you guys have used Instagram like 5 years ago and used Instagram today. It's definitely not the same app. It's constantly evolving. So every like I said, every month or so we want to constantly push updates and new versions. So what it is now is what it was last month, and definitely going to depend on what it is next month. Um, but again, that's kind of where we are right now. And I also want to make sure we use a good amount of this time to make sure we get questions so we can answer questions that everyone has. Because I know you guys probably have more exciting and interesting questions. But yeah, that's really where we are, and that's what we've had a chance to do. And we are helping food entrepreneurs with access to this. So there's a whole lot that goes into the product specifically. We have an ETL built out that allows us to so it updates like every day, like 4 hours ago. So that kind of like we have like a tells to pretty much make sure this has the most up-to-date information and whatnot. The second one is for training also. But one of the things we are pushing out within the next month is now people that right now this just gives them access to the information, the different information, so it doesn't allow them to type with it in here. So that's what we are pushing right next week. Now they can actually book the kitchen on here on the platform, right? The way we handled it previously was manually. Yes, we know what they're looking for, and they reach out to us and we help them link them with kitchen spaces, and we do all that. And that's more the service side of it. So we're trying to like build a product to supply service. Yeah, that's pretty much where we are. Yes, and in terms of where we are going next, like I said, so Q5, sorry, 2015, Q1 is so right now again had like like a 3 phases for our roadmap. So the first phase was just having something that is easily accessible, some sort of informational tool for entrepreneurs. The next is to be able to allow them to engage with that information, so which is what I talked about. We're pushing next, that's in the middle of Q4. Then by Q1 next year, we want to have not just something that they engage with, but something that actually follows them through their journey, right? So now we're talking about using some Gen AI tools that allow them to understand where they are at that moment and give them those tools that they need and follows them through their journey as a food entrepreneur. And then, of course, we also have the other side of it too, which is resource providers. We have a dashboard. we have a demo next week with a partner. So I mean, I don't have anything on here right now, maybe on a computer, but so for that too, we also have that also ongoing at the same time as well as place to this. That just allows the resource partners to be able to say, for example, your food entrepreneur, you come on here, you sign up. And actually, how can actually come on here and sign up right now? You can actually see once you sign up, see process, see your link, your email, you click on the link and launch. But once you're here, you can save the different resources, right? And once it's time for you to do resources, how would the resource partner know that you resource? How would they know that you are trying to schedule a training with them? How would they know that you're interested in getting them as a mentor, right? So this allows the dashboard allows them to be able to have access to the different food entrepreneurs that want to engage with them, and that's that by the end of Q4 we won't have that, but we kind of have like we have something that's looking for that already, but again, the focus is the food entrepreneurs, and that's kind of what that's our front and center, trying to help even the resource providers, they also want to support food entrepreneurs. So that's why we started out with just food entrepreneurs, and then eventually we're gonna have the platform that supports the resource providers. But that's like already in development. So I hope that helps. Yeah, so thank you so much, Alex.
We really want to hear from you guys, to be honest. So feel free to ask questions. There's no such thing as a crazy question, so please feel free to ask. We encourage it, because
Yes.
Well, and I agree. So thank you for your mission so far. I mean, just how did y'all begin marketing? Was it at a conference for you? Was another kitchen sites and stuff like that?
yeah. So one thing I would mention, as mentioned earlier, we're considered outsiders. So like connecting with organizations that work closely with food entrepreneurs and speaking with people that we know who are food entrepreneurs. Obviously, like social media, but attending events that is like geared towards and around food or anything in that umbrella. We were able to market and to make those necessary connections. This is a community-driven solution, so we do recognize that HomeCook is way beyond Hassan and I and our team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. It's also important to understand the industry you're in and how low touch or high touch it is. And I think for the food, the food industry, I think word of mouth plays a huge role than even just any kind of online virality and stuff like that. So one of the things that we leverage and we heavily rely on is word of mouth. And like Tayana said, we talking to people, talking to industries, organizations that focus on food businesses, food entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs in general, try to work with them to be able to just reach out to our entrepreneurs. So that's one we marketing. Of course, we also have like online ads and social media. That's really for us to help your community and allow people to understand the messaging around what we're trying to do. But we realize that there's an industry where trust plays a very big role, and for us, that's also one of our core values.
So there are always surprises in entrepreneurship. Plan for your business. What have been some of the bigger surprises for you or things you didn't expect?
A lot. A lot. But in a good way. So as I mentioned earlier, as we were starting our customer discovery, always customer discovery is ongoing. Never going to stop when we're building a solution. I was not fully aware that folks who are like chefs or cooking from your home were not necessarily aware of like policies. That was a surprise to me. I actually knew a little bit more than they did. So it was a good thing because we were like, okay, so we have to actually help, hold hands, guide folks because people are literally just cooking and selling it. And so that also just gave us more inspiration as to our approach. So that's why us working and collaborating with organizations work closely with food entrepreneurs helps us, right? Because they have access to them, we listen to them, and then we build accordingly. That was one surprising thing. I would also say, like the food industry, like credibility is a big thing. It's about who you know, and maybe it's because we're in DC, so like it's a bit political as well. But yeah, in terms of opportunity and people getting to know you, like a warm introduction definitely goes a long way. So that was a surprise as well. I was just like, oh, we have this thing that we're building, and they're like, okay, who are you? Okay, well, are you a chef? Are you okay? So what do you got to do with the food space, right? And so yeah, I mean, you just never know how you come off as like an outsider. And I remember one time in particular, we went to visit a local shared kitchen space and we were like, hey, introducing ourselves. And so it was funny because I had like my laptop bag. I don't know if I had a serious face. I typically smile. I was just walking in. I was like, hey, can I speak with like management? I'm, co-founding a tech solution. We would love to get feedback, learn more about your kitchen space. And so this one guy tapped me. He was like, are you an inspector? I was like, no. So like, again, like the food industry is just so unique in its own way. We love it, but it's very, very unique. And we get it, we understand. So that was also surprising. I'm like, okay, maybe I should like apply to be, no, I'm joking, an inspector. But yeah, so those are one of the.
Yeah, and I'll also say, just to the point about even just, and that's why, user-centric design is very important because we need to meet people where they are. Can't just say, oh, we're doing this technology solution, AI and everything amazing, stuff, but and think it's just, people are just gonna, come and use it, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really solve the problem that they have, and just trying to, like Jenna said, really talking to them. But yeah, that's something we had to realize. Sometimes we had to just think deeply about how we're building our technology and how we're designing a solution for them. So that's a very big part that, for us, again, like I said, just the multiple iterations. That's why even product is never something that's one and done. It's something that you constantly iterate. And, that was a big learning experience for us, knowing that, I mean, of course, that's, it's quite obvious learning now, but I think, it's very, very, it's easier said than done. I guess that's what I mean. Like, so just making sure, like, it's not so much of just, but just put them in and trying to meet them where they're at. So that's a very big lesson we've learned just through the journey.
And then also folks in the food space are not as tech savvy as well. That was also a shocker. I mean, it's easy to assume because we use our phone every day, but yeah, even if it's a Calendly invite, I don't know if we got Calendly, but that as an example. And then I'm like, she's like, okay, well, I'm available these days and I'm these times. I'm like, oh, just press that link. She's like, okay, well, I'm available this day, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll just send you a link. I get it. Meeting them with it.
Yeah, and I think even just the schedule that they have, the type of work
Yes.
they do, require them to just be up, sometimes off the grid, and they might not be connected as frequently as you expect them to be. So that's also why we also design solution in a way where it can at least help them when they're not thinking about it. It can be, if there's something that they can do. Yeah, we have the app. We can also send you a text message. So the way we build our app is, I mean, it's an app, you can see it, but it's also implies more on the platform on the back end. So we can easily transform this to whatever, and I can show you, like initial version that we had. You see that the back end is still the same, but the front end can change over and over. So again, the front end could be a web interface, it could be mobile interface, it could be a voice interface, right? It could be a text interface. At the end of the day, the point is making sure that we design that we can understand how they interact with technology and how we can at least make it easy for them to use it. And like Jenna said, if they are always working, like they're always in the kitchen space, we know like they can't always have their computers with them.
Great question.
Yeah, I have a question.
Bring it on. Ready. Okay. Oh yeah, sure.
About how long did it take for you guys to make like the beta version of your app?
Yes, so the initial version took like less than 2 weeks or so. So that's like, so it's pretty quick. It's like, it's not just pretty, easy. That's the easy part. The hard part is understanding whether it solves the problem that they have, right? And then understand the business side of it, right? So, like we said earlier, first thing, the initial version was just something people can go on there, put their plate and sell, and realize that, okay, we have to be very conscious of food safety, right? Liability and everything else. So we decided to take, how can we took that down and then we realized, okay, how can we build something that allows kitchen spaces and food engineers match with each other? And also that itself was something we had to go and do, but we realized, okay, we can build something easy, but then would it be easy for the kitchens to use it, right? And how would they engage with it, right? So because again, remember there are two sides, right? The food engineers can easily use it, but the kitchens, how often do they update the schedule? So we have to learn a little bit more about what they work, how they work, and how the current system works when it comes to kitchen spaces, kind of documents they need, and how can we at least verify the documentation on our platform. So we actually built some machine learning tools that actually help verify whatever documentation. Actually, right now, any service documentation is we can actually verify just by taking a picture of it. So we had to like learn all of that, the things that are important for them, and then how can we build that into our technology, into our product to actually make it easier for them? Because it's not just pushing technology, like I said, at them saying we have this, but extending what really solve their problem. So that's so those different versions usually took about a month or 2 months at most. But I think a huge amount of time was spent just collecting data and information from the customers. So very good question. Really good question.
I'll also add as well, Hassan being a co-founder and also, like the technical lead and him. Uh, yeah, but no, I mean, but to be quite frank, when we're growing into this tech space, typically there's so many different founders, and oftentimes there are founders who don't have like a CTO. They don't have a founder who has that expertise. They have to hire developers and raise a bunch of money. And so the benefit and what we were able to do thus far, we were able to save. You can quote me out. You can say we were able to save a substantial amount of money because our founder is, leading, building, and ensuring that the technology is sufficient and can support the community.
I think some of that also comes from previous experience because I have had some past experiences with startups. Most recently, I started actually with Unicorn, and I was there when we were like just 20 people, and now the company is about 300 people. But just some of the challenges we had experienced when it comes to scaling. Yes, it's easy to build technology that's MVP or to just be able to get initial customers. Then how can we build technology that's sustainable long term, right? And some of the challenges that came when it comes to even like like technical debt and things like that that could arise. So I think just a lot of that experience actually was what we brought in and did again together to be able to at least make sure we build our company in a very lean way. Like Tayana said, we're able to do a lot of things in the stuff things that would have costed us like millions. We've been able to do with just a few tens of thousands. And that because we're just very, very efficient and we only spent what was necessary to grow our company.
So funding is always an issue. Fine for most entrepreneurs. There's always a need for a little bit more funding. So you spoke just a little bit about how you're reducing your costs, which is great when when you're looking at a financial model. What sources of funding? I even see it on your website there that you have areas for your entrepreneurs to go and take a look. What sources of funding are you finding has been most helpful to you? And then what are you recommending to the entrepreneurs that come to your site?
Actually, grants. Grants has been a really big one thus far. That's how we were able to obtain over $30,000 via grants. Non-dilutive, meaning that we still keep our ownership in exchange. And so we also applied for some recent grants, well, pretty big grants, which we're cross your fingers. I'm hoping to hear back really, really soon. But yeah, grants has definitely been great for us. Some of those grants also came with, as a result of us participating in specific programs, accelerated programs, right? So you may have a really great idea and there's an organization who has funding, they want to fund your great idea. Obviously it's competitive because you have to apply. But during the duration of the program, you learn to, like sustain your business, grow your business. They connect you with resources to industry experts to help you take your business to the next level. But ultimately, grants has definitely been helping us. And we received our largest grant thus far from Johns Hopkins University. So, yeah.
And also, like, I think that's also where also making sure understanding the impact of what you're doing, not just impacts your customers, but societal impact. And I think that really helps a lot to understand where you're going with the company. And that also helps you understand what grants you might be eligible for because they also are trying to a lot trying to fund or support initiatives that help tackle certain courses. Causes, sorry. But yeah, so grant, I'll say grant, but also pitch competitions too. That's a very big one. Just sometimes you have people that might not necessarily just get this big check, but they're able to get a few small check, a few like a whole lot of small checks, like 500, 500, 1,000, 1,000 all over, and that also is as equally as important, equally as valuable as getting any kind of check. So we also try to encourage, or try to push, or at least let people know when there are those kind of things going on. And also, of course, family and friend round. That's also, I mean, we also initially, yes, bootstrap was a very big thing for us. I mean, gratefully, just because of our career and having the career we had before starting this, kind of helped us to be in a position to at least, fund some things. And that's what I also say, like, like Tana said earlier, to like, sometimes it might not be something you have to do right away. It might be just be something that you actually, use the funding for over time, and then you eventually have the research. Because you have to have the right war chest to be able to, start a company and grow. It's not just about starting, you also have to like grow and think about the customer acquisition and all that. So but that being said, yeah, I think it's like either way, I don't think something you have an idea. I think keep working on it, keep working regardless so regardless of whether there's funding or not. But I think it's also important to think about how can you go about so whether it's personally you want to save some money and it's a bit difficult, but I think for us that's kind of like the direction the way we went about it because our careers really helped us. So if you think you're in a career that can help sorry, I can't I'm sorry.
That could
Yeah.
put you in a position where you can save substantial amount of money, right? Like I said, my major is finance, and when I was at Morgan, actually, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I never knew what I would be doing. And so studied finance and started my career within the like finance industry. And again, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna start something, right? So obviously, be responsible with your money when you graduate. Save. You never know when there's a rainy day or when you want to invest in your idea to get it up and running. So yeah, I mentioned that. And then also to add, we just tried to, again, during our customer discovery, one of the main things that food entrepreneurs express concerns with and challenges with was funding. And so we figure there's funding out there. We know that there's funding out there, but they may not. So we figure let's just all put it together here so they could, read it and, they can apply for it. It's specific to food entrepreneurs or if it's, women-owned grant or a grant where again, that, there's no like restrictions and they can just apply for it to essentially get that. So
I was gonna say, excuse my just like a little bit too, so I have to just proud of that. That's so excuse me.
yeah.
So you said you're software engineering field, right?
Yes.
So when we first created the software, was there anything that you struggled with creating the HomeCook app?
I think one thing is think through that real quick. But very good question. So I'd say one thing is biggest thing is user experience, UX UI. And that did take us a while to actually make sure we had because again we can build technology, but we have to understand is that technology, how useful is it, how accessibility on the platform, and just some of the psychology behind the colors we use and everything, and then the way it feels and looks, and so that was a big thing for us. We did struggle with that, and I think that's also why we had to get someone who's a UX UI designer. It did take a while to actually finally get someone that was going to stay with us and to be able to continue building with us. I think that process was one of the most difficult process, but every time we had someone or we were able to get some help with that, we realized like everything moved fast with our product development. Like we were able to just build things within even like less than 3 weeks. We got things rolling once we had a design, but we always struggle with trying to figure out what design to go with because again my background again software dev, but sometimes it's hard to engage and that's part of the brand and the creative side of it. If I was just doing design, it's a lot easier, but that was just one of the biggest struggles in the beginning, trying to balance that creative versus underscore and then back end front end.
Actually, I have another question, but
Okay.
Sure. No question.
What kind of social media strategy?
Well, we're actually in the process of building out our social media campaign for the resource page. So you guys get an exclusive sneak. So in terms of our strategy, obviously we are leveraging our, local community to build that out. But we're just like testing different things, A/B testing or social media, based on some of the responses that we may have posted. So we've noticed that when we post about us, try not to put too much attention on us, but I think we need to kind of get out a little bit more. We notice when we'll post pictures of ourselves or, kind of show a little bit more about us, folks really like it. We also started to feature and spotlight local food entrepreneurs of the week. So that was also exciting and folks were like congratulating them. So we were like, oh, this kind of seems like an award kind of thing, but like, okay, we're gonna circle back to that. But yeah, just trying different things. Obviously we had help. So we had student interns who were studying marketing who we allowed to come to us with creativity. We actually we prefer to hire folks who are, like creative in some way because we too are creative in different ways. And we feel that if we can allow our team to have the freedom to express their creativity, they can do a great job. Just let them run wild and come back. But yeah, so just also participating and collaborating at specific events. So if we're attending a specific workshop, or if we're hosting something, or if we're going to have a table of some sort, we'll then promote that. Or if we're just again partnering with the local community organization, and we just show, like our involvement, right? So whether it's having a table, whether it's just learning more, engaging, things like that. So the strategy, it pretty much varies, but we're right now building out our marketing campaign for the resource pantry, because we're ready to start sharing this with the world and marketing that, which we're really, really excited for, because, again, we're meeting food entrepreneurs where they're at, right? So we also, during customer discovery, y'all keep hearing me say customer discovery. During customer discovery, we realized that a lot of food entrepreneurs are not as transparent. We get it, right? They are not as transparent in terms of where they're at with their business. And so we were like, having them fill out questionnaires and talking to them, we were like, what, let's just have them come here, and then we'll just, like use our data analytics tools to like, track the customer behavior and just kind of see what areas they pick more frequently, what areas are, more consistent than others, and take it from there. Again, we have to meet them where they are. So, yeah.
I would just add the goal of our social media campaign again is to be able to build our community.
Yeah.
And yes, and like we have different content, like different kinds of content. Like we said, we've like learned from the kind of engagement with your content, kind of like content. But the goal is really how to build a food entrepreneur community, to be able to know what we're about and what we are trying to provide to them. The way we engage with the partner side is a little bit different, but that's not social media. That's like, again, like we said, it's usually word of mouth. And yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good point, because we did spend time like kind of promoting educational content. So what is the Surf Safe? How do you get that? We even partner with folks who offer those courses and say, hey, anyone, first person to sign up will, like pay for it on their behalf. But yeah, a lot of like educational content, because again, we did discover that a lot of folks are not that well knowledgeable about, like the food industry in itself.
Yeah, how do you manage the dynamics with your team? So both of you working together, and are you doing this full time, or do you still have your jobs and you still, and then this is something you're still going? How do you guys navigate that?
Wonderful question. Okay, yeah. So as mentioned, I oversee the operational side as COO. And so I work closely with everything that's non-technical. So whether it's marketing, legal, accounting, finance, all of those great things, that's pretty much my umbrella. And so Hassan has his umbrella, where it's his product, and you can kind of delve a little deeper about.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So like Anna said, like operations and sales and like, and then I do a lot of like product strategy side of things. And we also have our teams as well within the company. So we have the product team. So product team has a UX UI designer. We have 2 front-end developers, and then we have 1 data science lead. And then we also have the marketing side as well, or like the operations side, where we have someone that helps with marketing. She actually recently joined. And then also we have the intern as well. We help with
Marketing.
So and so sometimes we do have our like so on the product side. I mean, we use an agile process, so regular Scrum methodology. Every 2 weeks we try to push new update new product within 2 weeks, and then we have regular ceremonies like the sprint plannings and all of that. And we have the meetings, we have the daily stand-ups and whatnot. While on the market, like they do have exactly on the operation marketing side, they do have the regular meetings, but we also make it a point that as a company we have at least we meet once a month as a company, everyone, just to know what's going on, just to be able to discuss. At least they can see what's happening on the product side, they can understand, okay, and we align that with what's going on the marketing side as well, so on the customer side. So that's a big one. And then your question about whether we're doing this full time. I am doing this full time, but I'm saying I can, but she's
Give the credit. Yeah, so Hassan is full time, right? Sacrifice. You're gonna learn it when you're building a company, and I am balancing my time. So my full time, I support defense agencies with their audit. Meaning, I support, like the DoD, so like Department of Navy, Army, Marine Corps, right? Those defense agencies, they're undergoing.
She's like, credit share background.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, so they are undergoing an audit for the first time. I know a lot of our tax money go to military defense spending. Yeah, so that's what I do. But yeah, so it's under the umbrella. I know you guys are like, what? Because I didn't learn this in college either. You're gonna also learn once you graduate, you're gonna learn more about new industries. But yeah, so my background is in federal financial management, and it's under the umbrella of consulting. So I'm in management consulting. And so yeah, that's ultimately what I do. I literally, do anyone know what an audit is? It's okay if you don't. I understand. Okay, yep. So just right, thank you. It's one of those things. It's very, I think it's exciting. But yeah, so basically, so you guys know when you have a financial statement as a company, you have to make sure that you got to make sure that the numbers are in compliance and that the numbers are correctly reflected, right? So then we have auditors, which their job is to make sure that what's in your financial statements is aligned with your processes and just making sure that everything that you have in your financial statements can be validated and it's true. So again, supporting defense agencies, a lot of times these meetings that I have is typically in discussion in regards to like billions of dollars. So when I supported the Navy, Department of Navy, probably the most out of all the other agencies. And I've had a call one time and they're like, like, here's the such and such million, can't be accounted for in financial statements. And we got to go schedule a meeting to look at the inventory, because inventory is also the ships, the airplanes, all of the weapons, things like that. But yeah, essentially, I'm the good guy. So I'm kind of like the middleman. It's like I work with the auditors to make sure they need, and I with the agencies to make sure that they are providing a response that reflects what the auditors need. Because when the auditor is all done and set with their job, they have to report it to Congress. And then that reflects, how the defense agencies stand and, making sure that they are in compliance. Did that make sense? I try my best to kind of nice dice. Yeah, so yeah, balancing it. Is it easy? No, it's challenging, but it's, how do I describe it? I'm so excited about what we're doing with HomeCook, so I don't get too caught up into like, my time or anything like that. And then also because I do such a pretty decent job, it's not like management and everything. It's like I have everything organized in a way where, like they don't suspect anything. But yeah, so yeah, again, just when you start working into the, real world, reputation matters. There's been times where I've actually needed them on behalf of HomeCook in terms of my availability, and they've worked with me, not because of HomeCook, but because I've had such a really great rapport and I've done a really great job during the duration of my career. Yeah, so yeah. Did not know I was going to talk about that, but it's a really exciting industry. It's called Financial Improvement Audit Readiness, FIAR. If anyone's in like business or trying to find a job. So, yeah. Okay. So then I don't want to get too technical with them, but yeah. So okay. So in order for like these really big agencies to pass audits, that's a really big deal. They have to hire companies such as KPMG. Have you guys heard of KPMG? Okay. Yeah. I used to work for them for several years. But yeah, so they'll hire, big four accounting firms or other consulting firms to then get the talent to help them. And some accounting firms, they actually, in some cases, they do both sides actually. They actually audit, right? So when I was supporting the Navy, who was it? EY was the auditors, and I was KPMG, but I was, contract support to help the Navy with responding to EY. So I know it's really interesting, but yeah.
So conflict of interest?
No, actually, no. As long as the contract ID is different, but they all have like their own like. So, and then like in the beginning of the audit, they kind of set that. Yeah, they have a lot of compliance things that they have to like run through. But yeah, like as long as it's separate. See, if KPMG can actually audit them and support them, that'll be a conflict of interest, right? So it's like you gotta pick a side. You want to, be the policeman, which is like the auditor, because they do not like getting audited, or are you the front people like I'm helping them to respond to those audit requests? Yeah.
We have time for one more question. Any further questions?
I wanted to ask data metrics and how you track user data, how you use those metrics that you get, and then also how you kind of solicit feedback from those that are using your platform.
Yes. So I'd say we are lucky to be in an age where we have a lot of tools that, say we're going to do like 20 years ago, it would have been a lot more would have had to build a lot of things ourselves. So there are tools out there like Pendulum and Mixpanel, as well as um,
Google Analytics.
Since I started, and then also we have Microsoft Clarity as well. So all of these tools, we have built them into a solution that allows us to be able to go and play back whatever sessions and experiences and what people are and what people are engaging with, and that also allows us to be able to know what's the content and what's not content. Then we also have like a heat map on our application as well based on what the content is engaged with more. That allows us to at least know and give us some sort of direction about how to keep going. Again, these things are relatively new, and we haven't completely figured out how to use some of this data yet. But that's kind of what we're working on. Okay, how can we, use this data? How can we transform that into experiences for them? But that's something we actually, just put in recently, just to be able to at least understand usage. Some data, some is once if you're not logged in, it's connected up, but it's more anonymous, so it doesn't really keep track of whoever it is. Just allows us to just know what they're doing, but we don't really know who the person is. Yeah.
And I also mentioned in terms of feedback, we're actually going to, I think we mentioned it too, kick off our focus groups. So we are kicking off a few focus groups starting at the end of this month. And then we're going to kick off our pilot as well. So when it comes to getting that feedback, that's where we're kind of moving into. So we can hopefully launch sometime maybe mid next year. No pressure on that. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all the so what we can do now, I know some people have to go to class and that's perfectly understandable if you guys can leave, but we want to make this sort of informal. We have lunch set up in the back, so you're welcome to grab a lunch. And we'll just allow you to just do sort of a casual conversation, both with fellow entrepreneurs in the room or with our speakers. But thank you so much again. Very good information.
Yeah.
Thank you.